Do we have anyone else waiting, Melanie, to come in, or are we stalled at 31?
No, I'm just letting a few more in right now.
Okay. Let me know when we're good to go.
Okay.
For the people that just arrived, if you can put your full name into the chat box, we're just going to record that for our minutes.
Don't have anyone else in the waiting room right now, Sabrina.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone to the Ontario Rett Syndrome Association's annual general meeting. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us. My name is Sabrina Milson, and I am the president of O.R.S.A and the chair for this meeting. Melanie, can you share the slides? Thank you. Next slide. Just want to review a couple of housekeeping items. Everyone is muted to reduce background noise. If you would like to talk or if you're on the agenda to speak, please unmute yourself and then return back to mute. We are recording the presentation and the chat, and afterwards we will be posting it on our website at ret.ca. We ask that questions and information be entered into the chat box, and we'll try to facilitate the discussion as best as possible and also being mindful of the time. For this meeting, we'll be using Robert's Law of Order. And what that means is O.R.S.A, lifetime O.R.S.A members are able to vote for motions only. At the very end of this meeting, we will be doing a draw for the travel pack that's been sponsored by Acadia and O.R.S.A. Next slide, please. Tonight's AGM is sponsored by Acadia Pharmaceuticals. We are pleased to have Acadia in attendance and as our guest speaker for this evening. O.R.S.A's first connection with Acadia was in spring 2022, with potential talks of moving operations into Canada. Collaboration efforts have moved this potential opportunity into reality. It didn't take long for Acadia to find the perfect person to spearhead this initiative in Canada. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Pam DiCenzo. Pam brings over 30 years of leadership and knowledge in market development, treatment access, advocacy and policy influence in healthcare arena to this role. She has worked in the pharmaceutical and biotechnology sector in both the United States and Canada. And for the past several years, she was responsible for establishing small biotech startup affiliates in Canada. These include BioPharma, Sobi, Raptor Pharmaceuticals, and DBV Technologies. Most recently, Pam served as Vice President and General Manager at DBV Technologies, where she established the Canadian affiliate and served as a board director for the legal entity. As a member of the North American leadership team, Pam helps support global preparations for the commercialization of late-stage clinical products. Prior to that, she developed and implemented the Canadian strategy and operations for market development, launched preparation and product launch of 2 rare disease products at Raptor Pharmaceuticals, which was acquired by Horizon Pharmacy in 2016. Pam is passionate about working for the best interests of patients, and believes that ultimately the results in the best outcome for everyone. Pam will introduce Acadia and provide high-level overview of the company and what is to come within the next 18 months. Given that Acadia has no currently approved products in Canada and Health Canada does not allow public discussion on products before an approval, we are not able to go into clinical details at this time. Acadia will provide us with an update when and where possible. Thank you for joining us tonight, Pam.
Thank you, Sabrina, and good evening, everyone. That was quite the introduction. Let me just figure out now how to share the screen, and I'll host disabled participant screen sharing. So can you allow me access to share the screen?
I'm just going to do that right now. Sorry.
While we're waiting for Pam to flip over to her screen, people that just arrived into the meeting, if you can put your full name into the chat box, we're going to be recording that for our minutes, please.
While we're waiting for the full screen, I'll just say that really appreciate the opportunity to be able to introduce Acadia to members of O.R.S.A. Also really looking forward to the chance to continue, the communications and the collaborations as we set up the Canadian organization. It's really, as we know, Sabrina, we've started to have some communications, and it's really allowing us to start to form and think about what opportunities might be there.
All right, I'm having a hard time finding the change host button. Does anyone know where I've lost that? Steve? I might just do share screen to everyone, I think, and that should hopefully allow you to jump on. Let's try that.
Pam looks like she's working.
Sorry, guys, I had this before and now it's not letting me. Let me try this something else here.
Did we lose Pam?
You might have to reconnect.
Okay, I think I know what I've done. Sorry. Okay, I've almost got you here, Pam, I think. Let's see. Is Pam still on the chat or?
I think Pam got kicked out.
Oh.
Is she in the waiting room at all?
Don't share your screen.
Mm-hmm. No, I think she must have, because she was frozen, I think. So she must have, she's not in the waiting room.
Sorry, everyone, just give us a moment.
We'll just have to wait a second while she logs back in, I think.
If you haven't put your name in the chat box, maybe we can do that now. We're just going to be recording for attendance.
Sabrina, do you want to move on to the proxy forms? We can do some of the business while we're waiting for Pamela to rejoin.
Of course. Melanie, do you mind putting the PowerPoint back on for us?
Just 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I lost the screen while I okay.
And these are the challenges the board has once in a while. As volunteers and trying to get together, put things together, this is sometimes what we have to encounter.
Just had to go back into it again, so just bear with me here. Okay. Okay, I'm back on. We're just past Acadia right now and on to the next slide.
We can't see the slides. I think you might be sharing the wrong screen.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, we'll just continue moving on, and then when Pam joins us, we'll flip back to the presentation of Acadia. So as far as I know, we haven't received any proxy nominations, so we will note that in the minutes. Valerie, please. Next slide. Melanie, do you want me to take over as with the presentation? You're muted, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I had it sitting on agenda, but I don't know why you couldn't see it. Yeah, if you could, Sabrina, that would be great.
Okay. Who has a funny joke to break the ice here?
I'm waiting for Carrie Ann, but she's not cracked one out yet.
I had one and I just said it out loud to Cindy and Darcy, but I feel as though it's a little inappropriate. So, but all I said is, I fart, you choke. That was about the extent of my humor this evening.
Well, this is awesome. Sabrina, are you waiting for me to let you to share the screen or no? Okay.
No, I'm trying to get it running too.
I think my computer's lagging or something because I had it on the slide and you couldn't see it. Sorry, everybody.
Okay, let's see if this works. Share screen. Can you see that? Can we see the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. So here's the agenda for tonight's meeting. We'll be approving the agenda, approving the minutes. We'll have the president's letter, the treasury report, the appointment of the auditor, the committee reports, election of directors and executives, and then we have the adjournment. May I have somebody motion the agenda, please, for me? Could you just say your name, because I'm not going to be able to see everyone's if you're putting your hand up.
Jody.
Thank you, Jody. Could I have a seconder, please?
Carrie.
Melanie?
I heard Carrie first. Thank you. We will move on to the minutes from the last annual general meeting that was held August 31st, 2022. I'll quickly go, actually, I'll get someone to be the first motion, please.
Melanie?
Thank you, Melanie. Seconder?
Jody.
Thank you, Jody. I'll just show the minutes and we can take a quick review. And if you have any changes or discussions, please let me know.
Sabrina, just for the board members present, I was there, but my name's not listed just for the edit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And that was Jody, by the way.
Thanks, Jody. Recognize your voice. Are we good with this page? Moving on.
Yes.
Are we good here?
Yes.
It's the last page. Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
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 Wonderful, thank you. Oh, I see a hand. Is that Karen?
Sorry, that was just in favor.
Oh, in favor. Thanks, Karen. Okay, is Pam back on? Not yet.
Not sure if she's in the waiting room.
I don't see anyone.
She hasn't texted me either. She's trying to reconnect. I'll continue. So I did write up a president's letter that everyone can find on our website. So I'm just going to take a second just to read it word for word because I wouldn't be able to memorize this. So dated for today, dear O.R.S.A members, welcome to our annual general meeting. Thank you for joining us this evening. If I can describe the past year in one word, it would be historic. On March 11th, Acadia Pharmaceutical announced FDA approval for the first commercially available treatment for Rett syndrome in the United States. Next, we witnessed another first when Taysha Gene Therapies administered gene therapy to a Rett individual in Canada. These milestones sparked new excitement and renewed hope back into our community. The year 2023 will forever represent how collaboration efforts by many dedicated individuals resulted in a better quality of life for our loved ones with Rett syndrome. These dynamic teams encompass many people with different skill sets who can achieve positive results. I would like to challenge you, our members, to consider volunteering your time to help O.R.S.A with our mission. We are here to encourage and ensure that individuals with Rett syndrome are able to achieve their full potential and enjoy the highest quality of life within their community. This is a very rewarding position where you would have the opportunity to give back to your community and help shape the future of Rett syndrome in Canada. As O.R.S.A continues to follow our strategic plan, we have highlighted the accomplished activities that align with our values and mission below. I'll just review. We have 4 pillars that we align our strategic plan with. So I'll just go through each of them. So pillar number 1, increasing family network and support. Our accomplishments were, we sponsored the first AAC camp for our members. We provided real-time support for families and clinicians. We enhanced website content. We created more resources, checklists, and activities. We provided virtual educational webinars. We've uploaded video recordings to our YouTube channel, and we ensured all members received updates via email and social media. Pillar number 2, improving health system relations. Our accomplishments were, we facilitated recruitment for Anavex 273, a study of pediatric patients with Rett syndrome. We assisted Taysha Gene Therapies in recruitment efforts. We advocated for access of DAYBUE, the first commercially approved treatment for Rett syndrome by Acadia Pharmaceuticals. We networked with other pharmaceutical companies regarding the opportunity for additional clinical trials in Canada. We awarded researchers Dr. Ellis and Dr. Zani $100,000 from our Hope Fund grant account. We also granted Canadian researchers Dr. Rosenall and Dr. Leroux $50,000 from the Hope Fund. Pillar number 3, create awareness strategies. Our accomplishments were, we collaborated with other Canadian associations and several organizations outside of Canada. We coordinated the October awareness campaign, including proclamations within Ontario. We ensured O.R.S.A is more visible on social media. And we attended the International Rett Syndrome Foundation 2023 scientific meeting. Pillar number 4, support organization transitions and stability. Our accomplishments were, we conducted successful fundraising events, both signature and third party. We gained more sponsors to support O.R.S.A's mission. We restructured committee members and vacant positions internally, and we completed review of O.R.S.A's bylaws and policies and procedures. Your board of directors have worked tirelessly to provide these opportunities to you. Thank you for all your hard work. Your commitment to our community is truly inspiring. Many thanks to our parents and guardians, members, supporters, and professionals that have helped make 2023 another wonderful year for O.R.S.A. As we start connecting in person again, I have no doubt 2024 will be another successful year, proving that we are #stronger together. Thank you. So I think
Pam has joined the
Pam
meeting
is
again.
actually, sorry, is she on?
Yeah, I've just let her back in.
Oh, perfect. So we'll flip over to Pam now once she gets settled, and then we'll go on to the Treasury report.
Okay, can you hear me?
Hi, Pam.
Hi. Oh my goodness. All right. So don't know which is more nerve-wracking, actually giving the presentation or using the technology to get the presentation out. Anyway, hopefully this will work. So do I have control to share my screen?
You should have control. Do you want to give it a try?
Okay. It says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Ah, okay. Let me see. I'll just stop right now.
Try
Okay.
again. Okay, I think we're
Yay. Hang on. Hang on. Fireworks. Where are they? Yay.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll leave my camera turned off just so that it doesn't drain the I don't know what's going on with my system. Anyway, as I started to say before, really appreciate the opportunity to participate tonight. And now I have to also thank you for your patience as I work through a few technical glitches. Sabrina was mentioning that, it's really going to be a high level presentation tonight, and it's really to give a feel for who Acadia Pharmaceuticals is as a company, to talk about Acadia Canada and our approach to really be able to make it an optimal experience for the Rett community as we start to set up in Canada. So obviously the intro has been done, so there's not as much to say here. The only thing I would say is that in the last few weeks, Acadia announced that they're going global with treatment for Rett syndrome. And Canada is the first country after the US. So these are really exciting times. I mean, it's exciting times for me, to be involved with this organization. It's exciting times for the Rett community here in Canada. And it's an exciting time for, Acadia as it continues to expand and potentially be able to bring a treatment option available to Rett communities around the globe. So it's all very exciting, and I'm 5 weeks in. So I'm very much into listening and learning phase. And as part of that is really getting a better understanding, such as, the event tonight, to really hear from the Rett community, from patients, from caregivers, from healthcare professionals, anything that would really help be able to inform how best to develop systems, programs, and also the team that I'll be building in Canada. So as I say, it's an exciting time and it's a building time. So what I'm going to do is take you through sort of an approach of Acadia in the sense of how it came to be, and then talk a little bit more about the commitment with Rett, and then end sort of with the commitment on the rare disease portfolio beyond Rett. And then I'll get to talking a little bit more specifically for Canada. So what I don't know if you can see, because I see a panel of names, but on the side of this slide, we have our purpose, we have our mission, we have some of our values. And what I found really interesting is that the mission is that we elevate life. And when I was going through the interview process at Acadia, I had a chance to speak with Steve Davis, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Acadia. And when he talked about elevate life, it really hit home for me, because he was saying that, not every product can be transformational. Not every product is going to be a cure, but it doesn't mean that as a company, we shouldn't invest, time and money and people in products that actually can elevate the life experience. So, it talks about brighter moments shining through for patients and their loved ones. And it's the idea that if there's some ability to get some quality of life back, if there's some opportunity to be able to restore and bring the person back to where they were, and have a greater connection with family, then that's our mission, to elevate life. So with that, Acadia, back 30 years ago in 1993, was called Receptor Technologies. And then through sort of the morphosis that companies go through, they rebranded as Acadia. And then they shifted the focus to look at some small molecule research. And it actually led to the synthesization of pimavanserin. So this is really sort of the history of what allowed Acadia to be what Acadia is today. They, in the early 2000s, entered into human studies in patients with Parkinson's disease psychosis. So that led to, in 2016, in the US, Nuplazid being approved and being the first treatment for hallucinations and delusions associated with Parkinson's disease. That I think also allowed for a growth phase in Acadia. And it allowed them to sort of diverse the portfolio a little further with respect to opportunities for schizophrenia, negative symptoms of schizophrenia, as well as Alzheimer's disease psychosis. And it allowed them to be able to look at a business development strategy, specifically in rare and specifically in the central nervous system. And in 2018, there was an exclusive licensing agreement to develop and commercialize trofinetide for the treatment of Rett syndrome. And this was really driven by the mission to elevate life and to understand that Rett is a rare disease therapeutic area with a high unmet need. And I know you all know this, but it was trofinetide, the brand name debut, was approved in the US in March of this year, and it was launched in April of this year. So in addition to the opportunity in the US, we've also been able to expand that licensing agreement so that it's global, as I mentioned. And there's also, with this relationship with the company Neuron Pharmaceuticals, where this agreement came from, there's also an opportunity for global rights for another product, which is very much in the investigational stages. But if it would potentially have opportunity for Rett syndrome as well as Fragile X. The other thing with respect to the Rett sort of commitment would be a collaboration with Stoke Therapeutics that Acadia is involved in. And that's an RNA-based medicine for how Acadia came to be, that they are in Rett and that the commitment is to Rett. And then I'll just give a couple more highlights on the sort of the corporate Acadia. I like this slide because it shows you we're not a multi-billion dollar company. We don't have necessarily deep pockets. We have 500 employees, and that is growing. I mean, since I joined 5 weeks ago, I know there's been more people joining. So it is a growth time at Acadia. The headquarters are in San Diego. There's also an active group in Princeton, and then the rest of us are remote. Usually with Zoom working a little bit better than perhaps this evening. But what I like about this is it shows that we're a small, maybe medium-sized company, and that really allows us to stay connected. So I think part of the success and what I would call the charm, or what attracted me to Acadia, is the fact that we're still small enough that we can really work with the community. We can work with healthcare professionals. We can work with organizations like yourselves, and we can stay close, particularly in the rare disease space. So I've gone through a lot of this with respect to how we started, with Rett syndrome. The one thing I might just mention is another commitment in the neurological condition for Prader-Willi. So there is something in phase 3. So it's not yet through approvals, but it would still allow us to stay in this space, but also then be able to expand to potentially meet a symptom which is called hyperphagia, which basically is the patient sort of feeling constant starvation. So definitely overeating. And it's one of the most life-threatening symptoms to Prader-Willi. So that's a future opportunity, but again, showing Acadia's commitment to the neurodevelopmental space, in addition to our overall commitment for Rett. So Sabrina mentioned to me when we were talking about this presentation today, and knowing that, because of where we are with in Canada and what Health Canada allows and doesn't allow for speaking to the public on products that aren't approved. She did say that many of you heard in a press announcement that trofinetide would be available in Canada in 18 months. And I'm sure you're all asking, well, why 18 months? Why would it take this long? Why can't it be sooner? So what I wanted to do is just sort of share a slide that gives you a sense of the layers and the players that are involved in Canada for us to be able to get a product to you into the patient community. So what you can see from this slide is the total sort of period with 18 months. So there's what's called a pre-submission phase, and that's really where we have to think about, there was a filing done in the US, what's required for us to be able to make that feasible in Canada. So there's different formatting, there's different modules. Health Canada, you know, requires a lot of unique information for their filing, and that all has to be collected. It has to be formatted. Some of it has to be created before there's even an opportunity to make that submission to Health Canada. And the submission is called an NDS, or a new drug submission. And when that gets submitted to Health Canada for products, it is then a 360-day review, typically, for a product. That allows them to take the first 2 weeks to make sure that the submission is complete. And then it allows them the time to be able to break out the modules and be able to do the review on it. There is definitely communication with us as a manufacturer during that time, but it's at the end of that review that we, if it demonstrates safety and efficacy, that we then receive the NOC, which is the Notice of Compliance, which is our license to say we've proven it's safe, it's efficacious, we can now market it, which it's ultimately then when you think it would be available for you as a patient community to be able to access the product. But in addition to that layer, there's also a lot of payers in Canada, in the sense of steps and process that's involved in order to be able to get the product reimbursed. So at a national level, we have CADITH, which is sort of a pan-Canadian review, and then ENIS for Quebec. And so what they ask for is some truncated version of showing the safety and efficacy that Health Canada used to grant. And then we have to provide, it's referred to as pharmacoeconomics, so sort of cost effectiveness, justification for the value that this product has. That goes through a review. And actually, during that time of the review, there is an opportunity for the patient organization to be able to input. So there's considerations there for how we might be able to connect, and also with CORD as a national organization. When we meet the need and they say, yes, it's safe and efficacious, which of course we heard from Health Canada, but they confirm it's safe and efficacious. They also then say, and cost effective. And then they recommend for reimbursement. Once they recommend for reimbursement, then we move to what's called the PCPA, which is the Pan-Canadian Pricing Alliance. And that's a group where we have to then negotiate price. So that after the review by CADITH and their recommendation, we are then invited to negotiate with the PCPA. And then once we've had successful negotiations with the PCPA, we then have to enter into what's called a PLA, which is a provincial listing agreement. So there's a lot of steps that have to sort of happen in order to be able to get to the point where the product's available. And there's a lot of resources that also need to, be able to support that. There's also, private insurers like Sun Life or Desjardins, or, different insurance that many of you might have, that we will also then be sending in information. They ask for it in a different format than CADITH. And there's usually an opportunity to be able to get decisions for reimbursement much sooner than there is through the CADITH and the PCPA. So while that's all happening up at sort of that regulatory level, in addition, what we want to be able to do is sort of on that bottom line is really be able to connect with the community like we're doing today, and make this sort of a kickstart for just really getting a feel for what are the issues, what are the challenges, where are their gaps, and that includes also talking with healthcare professionals and maybe meeting at the rec clinics and just really understanding that. Then we need to sort of think, okay, so what's unique to Canada that we might want to do, we might want to build? And then from that, think of the programs. So for an example, and you may have heard about Care Connect, which is in the United States, and it helps support, patients and access, and, even working through some of the reimbursement myriad. And there might be, we might look at bringing something like that to Canada, but only after we've truly assessed and we've determined that, yes, that might be a good opportunity. And then there's other programs like that we would need to really be able to think about, coordinate and build. And then ultimately it gets to that access to the new therapy. So hopefully that gives you a sense of why 18 months. And hopefully it also gives you a sense of just sort of what's ahead for Acadia, for me in Canada, and hopefully partnering with you, Sabrina, and the team at O.R.S.A, to really be able to set us up for success, as I say. And I think at the very beginning, I made reference to optimal experience for the community. And optimal means in all these different parts and layers and players and timelines that we're doing it in the most efficient way, and that ultimately we're able to have the access and the best programs and supports for the Rett community. So
Pam, Pam, can we just ask a question, or do you want them at the end?
Yeah, no, it's up to you. I was under the impression we were putting the questions in writing at the end, but by all means, if it's something I can answer now.
We can do it all at the end.
Okay, all right. So I'm pretty close to the end. So anyway, as our commitment to Canada, what we want to really be able to do is, as I say, work with the community. We want to really be able to understand what the needs are for patients, caregivers, healthcare providers, everyone that's sort of going to touch with that Rett syndrome community. We want to be able to leverage the fact that we've got more than 5 years of successful engagement of the Rett community in the US, and figure out what works in Canada, what we might need to adapt for Canada. We also need to consider that, I mean, I'm talking with you at O.R.S.A, but it might be a different issue for someone living in British Columbia, different issue for someone living in Alberta, maybe some different considerations in Quebec. So we want to honor the fact that there's that diversity as we think about Canada and how we're going to set up the best programs for best success. And then I guess really it's continuing with the potential for other product opportunities in the Rett space. And, closing, I guess, a little bit with what was the mission, which is to elevate the lives of patients and caregivers for people living with Rett syndrome. So with that, I do want to just close with a kind of a neat slide. And I really hope, given that my internet didn't cooperate before, I don't blow the circuits with this last slide, because it has some animation. But it's actually based on a patient. Her name was Emily, and she was an eye gaze artist. And she was able to create what you'll see is this artwork, as well as some other artworks using her Toby tool. This piece, when it's completed, you'll see it, is called Confetti. And what's really nice is that the picture that she made is going to be hung in the headquarters in San Diego very shortly, actually. Emily was an extraordinary young woman. Unfortunately, she passed away just days before DAYBUE was approved in the United States. She was older than the parameters allowed in the clinical trial, which was unfortunate. But at the same time, she lived a full life. She enjoyed music. She did wheelchair dancing. She was artistic, as you'll see. She was a silent partner in a business. She was an ice skater and a patient educator. And like all things, she was more than her disease. And that's really the case in most times. So I'm going to close with this. And then, of course, we'll flip to questions. And I always find this so moving because, Emily lives on, And it's just it reminds us that that there's so much in every one of us. And I know, you know, for the Rett community, that's always that's always, I'm sure, for you, a daily reminder as you're working potentially with your child or with another loved one. And with that, I would say thank you again for the opportunity. We are really excited as Acadia to be in the Rett community space, and I'm really excited to be able to be here in Canada to set this up. With that, I guess we'll turn it to questions.
Okay, we've got a question here. If you're not able to answer, just let us know. But is there a possibility that Canada's Drug and Health Technology Agency will say this is not financially viable?
So there's a whole process that CADITH goes through. So there is that potential. I would hope that as a result of everything we're going to be doing, to have communications, to be able to meet all their needs, and knowing that it's being reimbursed in the States already, that we'll put everything possible to ensure that they come up with a recommendation for reimbursement, but nothing's 100%.
If there's any more questions, please put them in the chat.
I guess while we're waiting for any questions, I just like to thank you, Pam. Like, that was a wonderful presentation, and also the ending here with Emily's artwork. It's very touching and very inspiring. As a parent with a child with Rett syndrome, we're always trying to do the best for our child and provide the best quality of life, but also looking at these legacy pieces that will continue as she paves the way for other people in the future. So this is really touching, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
I have another question that's come through. Is there a web link to find out more about the studies on the effects of the drug as found in the US?
So I'm not sure who asked that question, if it's a healthcare professional or if it's a patient. I mean, Health Canada is very specific with their rules on what we can do as a manufacturer to communicate any sort of clinical scientific information that would look like it's promotional before there's an approval in Canada. So there won't really be that information. A healthcare professional might be able to get in on the link in the US and be able to get some different information, but it's not publicly available as a manufacturer for us to have that information accessible. And we don't actually have a Canadian website yet. That's one of those programs that we need to think about, and systems we need to think about building out. Any other questions?
I don't see any questions coming through right now, Pam. But we can always flip back. If anybody does put anything in the chat, we can always ask you. Or you can also email O.R.S.A at info@ret.ca. If you have any questions or thinking of anything after this presentation, we'll be happy to try to direct it to the right person to have your question answered.
Thank you. And thanks again. I apologize. I don't know what happened with the internet, but I'm certainly glad that when we finally started the presentation, it decided to cooperate. And thanks again for this opportunity. Now thanks, I need to give you control back, right?
You do, yeah. If you could just stop, and then that would be great.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Pam.
Sabrina, there's another question in the chat.
Melanie, do you see it?
I do. I can ask it. Yep. Any possibility Red 40 will be removed before it gets to Canada?
I'm not sure if that's something I can answer at this time. We are sort of looking at what the overall strategy can be with Health Canada. So I guess once there's a bit more information on that, I will, once I can, I'll link back in with you guys and let you know what the answer is to that.
Okay, Joan, are you on the, I think you're here. Do you want to go through the treasury?
Yeah. We had a audited report from last April to this March 31st, and its report is already done. And thank you for Kevin. And Kevin, are you here?
Yep.
Okay. Would you like to share some with us?
Can I get share screen, or does someone have the?
I think
Yeah,
you
maybe.
have to, Kelvin, I think you have to share if you have it on.
It is not giving me the option to share screen, so I'm not sure how.
Okay, let's see.
Maybe Sabrina stop share and then Kevin takes the share.
Melanie, are you there? I think you need to do it on your end.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just ask him to start video.
So I don't know what's happening with Zoom. For some reason, it's not accessing. Like it says it's using my camera, but it's not recording anything. And it's obvious because it's.
Oh
I think
yeah,
it's showing up on
that's
screen.
weird.
It's. I tried other applications to turn on the camera and it works, but for some reason Zoom is black screening me. I'm
Yeah, I
not
can see
entirely sure
that.
what's causing that.
Let me see. Also, we have a download in the upload in the file. Maybe I can.
Do you have it on your computer that you can share?
Right now I'm just looking. So go to the. Oh, Valerie, did you find any?
I wasn't looking actually. I thought you were doing it. Sorry.
Maybe
Sorry,
I'm
Kevin, are
going
you
to.
using Chrome as your browser?
I am. Is that a problem?
No,
I haven't had
no.
this issue before. So I'm not entirely sure what's happened this time.
Oh, just one. Let me see here if I can find some. I know I have report.
You have the
Melvin, what
report,
is it
Joan?
that you're going to be sharing?
Yeah.
Is it the auditor finding letter?
No, it's called auditor report in that. Yeah, I can share in my drive. Oh, I already here. Just 1 second.
Okay.
I need open 2003. Audit report. So I'm going to share. how can I share in here? Let me see. So share screen, right?
Yeah.
So can you see here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you can start, Kevin.
Yep. Okay. So to start, so we'll start with this page. This is the first page of the independent auditor's report. So this is our report after completing the audit. To start, we are issuing a qualified opinion. And this is primarily due to the fact that you guys are working with donations, and just because of the nature of donations, we can't obtain a satisfactory audit verification. So it is a qualified opinion. This is standard for any organization that has donations to get a qualified opinion. Once again, it's just the way donations and fundraising works. But apart from that, we are happy to report that the financial statements have been presented fairly in all material respects. The financial position of Ontario Rett Syndrome Association as at year end, which is March 31st, 2023. And I can report that the audit went smoothly. If we scroll down a bit more, you will see the beginning of what is the responsibilities of the parties involved. So this starts, this is at the bottom of page 3, and it continues on page 4 and 5. And this just outlines the responsibilities of all the parties involved of the audit. So those charged with governance, so the board, is responsible for hiring and directing management to prepare the financial statements. Management is responsible for preparing the financial statements, and us as the auditors is responsible for us looking at the financial statements and determining whether or not there are any material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. Next, I would like to direct us to page 6. Okay, so this is the statement of financial position. To start is the asset side. So assets are the items that the association owns or has control over. Some things to highlight: your cash went up from 195,000 to 243,000. And a new item this year that you'll see on the financial statements is the accounts receivable. This is in relation to your Anavex trials that you started this year. And then you can see also there's the restricted funds. This is your Hope Fund. In total, your assets increased from 340,000 to 392,000. Next, we have your liabilities. So these are the people or organizations that you owe money for. Not much change here. You can see from just an increase from 6,500 to 7,800. There is this item, deferred revenue conference. This is in relation to the funds that were raised for the Flash Camp and Literacy Camp, which was held in after year end. So this item is here just primarily because there is a timing issue. You've raised funds, but just haven't held the event. And then next is we have your net assets. This is the worth of the organization since it was founded. Once again, you can see how much your research grant fund is at this point. And then your accumulated surplus increased from 233,000 to 235,000. So it's primarily because you had a significant surplus this year. Next, so we can see the statement of research grant fund and the statement of accumulated surplus. This is just the changes in both those statements from beginning of the year to the end. Pretty straightforward. Next, we have the statement of operations, which is page 8.
Yes, this is surplus.
Yeah, so we can see there's a significant significant surplus this year of 44,000 compared to last year's 3,700. And we'll see the reason why on the statement of operations, which is on the next page. Okay, so this is your statement of operations. This is your revenues and expenses for the year. To start revenues, this is the money you guys raised and received. Of note here is your fundraising increased significantly from 48,000 to 80,000. Your donations also saw an increase from 54,000 to 67,000. Consequently, your research contributions did see a drop of 34,000 to 3,600. But overall, revenues did increase from 142,000 to 155,000. Next, we have the expenses. So this is the money you spent to run the organization, the various events. Of note here is the Hope Fund Research Grant saw a dip in funds handed out through the grant from 79,000 to 48,000. Increases is your fundraising saw an increase from 3,000 to 12,000. That coincides with the fact that you guys had a significant increase in fundraising this year, in events and in expenses utilized to run those events. And there was an increase in travel and hotel from $800 to $6,000. There was a few conferences that were attended this in the year, so that explains why there's such a big jump this year. But overall, expenses did drop from 138,000 to 110,000, almost mostly because the research grant didn't spend as much money this year. Overall, like I mentioned, surplus, there is a significant increase in surplus from 3,000 to 44,000. Overall, is this a good positive trend to have a not just a surplus, but an increasing surplus as we have all now seen with 2023 that we have inflation and rising costs sort of still present. So having a surplus in the back end will help you be able to run more events, do fundraising and that stuff, and sort of handle that side of it. And that is the financials. And then the last 2 pages, so this is your statement of cash flows. It explains just the way your cash moved in and out via the different activities. So you had increase in your cash. You had a surplus this year. And then the last 2 pages, which is page 10 and 11, are the notes to the financial statements. This is just additional information for you to know in regards to the financial statements. For this year, it's mostly just background information on sort of the accounting policies that were used by the association and which we've then looked at. And there's also a note on the research grant fund, which is the last one, which is note 3. And this is just more explanation of that what the research grant is used for and how it's being controlled. Any questions or comments?
Any questions? Thank you, Kevin. Very nice. And okay. And then the motion to approve this audited financial statements.
Steve?
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Could I have someone to second?
Jody.
Thanks, Jody. Any
Thank you.
comments before comments or discussions? All in favor?
I had a question.
Yep.
I saw that we still gave CHIO $10,000. Is there a further breakdown of that $10,000 since we no longer have the Red Clinic there?
So
is the Children's Hospital of East.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I can talk to that, Kelvin. So that was for the last fiscal year that we paid for them, and moving forward, we're not going to be, obviously the clinic's not available anymore, so there will be no more funds being sent their way.
Okay. Is there going to be a time for questions at the end of the session? Just because I have more questions in regards to CHIO, but it's not budget related.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can definitely take questions at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Any
Any other questions about the financials?
Yeah, just a motion to give opportunity for Kevin to
Just
So
one
next-
moment, please, Joan. We just have to finish the first motion that we had, that it's carried, and then
Yes.
we'll move on.
Yeah, so if nobody has any other comments, then all in favor?
Yep.
Approved.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Kelvin, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kevin.
You guys all have a good night.
You as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
you as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, Joan,
Bye.
if you could stop share and then I'll go back to the presentation, please.
Oh, yes. Okay. Did I stop?
No.
Not yet. There's a little stop button right at the top of the screen.
So,
There you go.
yeah,
I did it, Joan.
thank you. I will try to looking for.
Now, Joan, you can make that motion the next motion.
Yeah, I think he already left. Anyway, we can do next meeting.
No, we want to
No.
appoint the auditor. We don't usually
Oh.
have in attendance, so that's fine. You can make the
Now or later?
No.
Now? Okay, it's a motion to approve for the next year's service to, what's the company again? Sorry. PY.
Prentice, Yates,
Okay.
and Clark as the auditors for 2023-2024 fiscal year. And Jones
Yes, you go ahead. Thank you.
No.
Jones made the motion. Can I get somebody
Yes.
to be the second?
Carrie,
Any comments about us using this firm? Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
I do
we'll
just
move-
want to point out just one thing, Sabrina. Our cost for the auditor has gone down quite a bit. We were over, I think, around 9,000, and we're dropping down to like 4,000, and that's because of that we've learned to monitor our books better and better auditing practices right from the start. So that's very positive.
That's great. Thank you for doing that.
Valerie did a good job.
Always.
Yeah.
Thanks, Valerie. Okay, so we'll move on to the committee reports. And we'll start with outreach. So Carrie Ann, you'll be first.
I know, I got my video on now.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for coming, everybody. So I'm Carrie. I've been outreach for, I'm going into my 7th year with Ontario Red Syndrome Association. This year was pretty basic. I dealt with the regular phone calls and emails, which was great, as well as really, really enjoyed the flash camp. Sorry, totally blank right now. So it was great to get together and see people, and it was really inspiring for me to be around other families. So I'm really looking forward with what the other committees are about to announce for things that are coming. So thank you so much, and continue to send me emails and questions, and I will be as responsible and on it as I can.
Thanks, Carrie. Next we have Jody from fundraising.
Hi guys, welcome to the meeting. I'm Jody. I'm the chair of the fundraising committee, and I've been on the board, I think, for 5 years now. Fundraising committee chair for 2. I think I took over as chair going into COVID, so there was a bit of a lull for me because we couldn't do any of the events in person, but we have a few members on the committee. So Sherry kind of took the realm during COVID and made our Run for Red virtual, which was successful throughout COVID. But now that we're starting to see each other in person again, we've had some exciting updates from our end. So just to go over my report for the Run for Rep from 2022 last year, and again, still virtual, we made $39,017, which is quite impressive for a virtual event. So I will go into this year's Run for Rep at the end of my report, because that is coming up. We had our Uncork Rep wine fundraiser around Christmas time that raised $694. And then we actually had our 18th annual Rep Classic this year, back in June. We did switch it up this year. We changed venues, made it a little bit closer to the GTA so that it was more accessible for more families to be able to come out. A lot of good feedback from the new venue with the room, the course, the food. We raised $5,152 at that event. For our third-party events, the Revs for Ret from August of 2022. This is hosted annually by the Milson family. Last year, they brought in $4,781. Ref for Ret is held in December by the Morton family annually, and last year they brought in $4,883. This year, we've had a few new third-party fundraisers, which is very exciting. We always encourage our members to have your own fundraiser if you'd like, and O.R.S.A will provide support to help you out with the fundraisers with pamphlets, marketing, things like that. So for this year, we had Hannigan's Paint and Decor and Precision Drilling teamed up. They actually hosted a poker tournament in Alberta, and it took place in December, and it raised $10,170. Add Bands was an event that took place in May of this year in Toronto. It was arranged by Michelle Quantz, and $2,000 was raised at that event for O.R.S.A. And then Michelle will also be having another third-party fundraiser on October 20th in Toronto called 36 Exposures, and it'll be at the Balmy Beach Club. And then up to our signature events that are coming up. So I'm going to do the Run for Ret's coming up next, but I'll leave that for the end just so I can give more details. But for a save the date for next year, the 19th annual Ret Classic will be on Sunday, June 9th. So mark that in your calendars. And hopefully we'll get to see some more of you out there next summer. And then on to the Run for Ret, which is coming up very, very soon. It's going to be on Sunday, September 24th this year at the Richvale Community Center in Richmond Hill. We did have a venue change for that, but it's going to be a good time for everyone to kind of get together in person again. I know a lot of the families really like coming out to the Run for Ret just so they can talk to each other, hang out, kind of, it's just a community event for the O.R.S.A community, and it's nice to reconnect again. So it starts, the registration is at 10 a.m. and this year there will be a 5-kilometer walk or 1-kilometer run. They will not be timed. It's more of a meet and greet, picnic, bring your picnic lunch, your running shoes, your lawn chairs, come out for a walk or run and social gathering. And then there will be a silent auction as well. You can go to ret.ca and the registration links are there and all of the details that you need for the event. So that is coming up soon, so make sure you get registered, and you can even set up a team page and get members on your team to get some donations as well. So looking forward to it.
Thanks, Jody. That's awesome. We're all looking forward to getting back into person again. The next on our agenda would be education. Sherry, if you don't mind.
Nope, not at all. Bear with me. I'm sorry, I have a cold, and talking can only last for so long, so I'll try to say as little as possible, which will be a first because I love to talk. So I've been on the board for over 20 years, a long, long time. I've been here forever. So now my title is education. So the Education Committee report. You can see that there's a lot of members on here. You've already heard about the Flash Camp. It was very, very successful. Melanie did a little write-up in May. O.R.S.A's first-time partnership with AAC Camp proved to be wildly successful. Flash family literacy in AAC on the shores of Huron. Camp was a family camp held in southwestern Ontario at the fully accessible Camp Kintail. 4 dynamic professionals spearheaded and planned the camp, teaching literacy and communication skills to individuals who use augmentative and alternative communications, AAC, alongside with their families and support workers. O.R.S.A provided funds to get the camp started, administration support to process grants and camper fees, as well as liaison and planning time for one of our board members. The camp was booked and it is going to run again in 2024. Stay tuned for the details. Ongoing with O.R.S.A, of course, is the website. It's a working document. It's routinely being refreshed and updated. Upcoming events, we are hoping at the Run for RET. I'll add to that. My husband and I, our family has done the Run for RET for the past 12 years. We have organized it, and I say that out loud now. It just seems like whoa, but it is. We've been there for doing it for 12 years. We're hoping to have lawn signs at the race, but I'm not 100%. It is on the report, but it depends on the turnaround on ordering them and having them there. So I've got it on there, but it's not 100%. There will be a conference coming up in Ottawa on October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, sponsored by Acadia. And Light Up Purple will also make an appearance again in October. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. I guess I'm next under scientific. So I did mention a lot of the stuff in my presidential report. And I guess a couple things I'd like to highlight is that we did use the Canadian Rett Syndrome Registry this year when the pharmaceutical companies were looking for some data on our patients and who would be interested in participating in a clinical trial. So we did access the website to do a lot of data queries that way. And as I mentioned, our Hope Fund, we did issue 2 significant sums of funds for Canadian researchers, Dr. Ellis and Dr. Zani. Also, our Montreal physicians, Dr. LaRue and Dr. Rosenel. And originally, oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. So we were really excited about providing those 2 grants for all those 4 physicians to do some research on Rett syndrome. The other point I would like to mention is that with Anavex and us participating and helping to facilitate that the first clinical trial in Canada, we did, O.R.S.A sent out 41 thank you bags to all the families that did enroll and participate in the trial. And we were really happy and proud to do that for the families, a little something to help them get through the trial and just to show our support and for everything that they're doing for the community and to increase scientific knowledge within that clinical trial. And that's it. Our goals for 2024, we're going to still continue to connect with all the pharmaceutical companies. So Anavex, Acadia, Tatia. The next person or the next company that we would like to talk to is Neurogen and to explore some Canadian possibilities. Right now, they're in the United States only. Talks have been in the works and I have connected with the company. So that's something that is on our goals for 2024. And that's it from me. So next would be communications.
Hello, everyone. It's my name's Steve. In communications, I've been chair for, I guess, the last year. Been on the committee for a little bit longer than that, 2 or 3 years. Past year, sorry, it's been a little rough. Just recovering from surgery, but still going through and trying to get stuff done for O.R.S.A. So things that we have done is we've tried to update the old website with some new stuff, an awareness page, highlighting history, adding highlight our activities, lighting locations, graphics, proclamations, and more. We're also moving towards a new website, and I'm hoping to get that done soon. and transferring over all the key information from our old website to our new website, updating some new features, and creating key items as much as possible. One thing that we are working with is with Canadian Helps. They are going to be, we are linking most of our data with them in regards to donations and with our email blasts. So currently we're using a program called MailChimp, or a company called MailChimp. However, we find that some of our emails are going to people's spam folders, so we're hoping to eliminate that with Canada Helps eBlast system and newsletter system, so you guys will get your information sooner and more efficiently. Social media has been working well, and we'll continue to do that. And for October, we are hoping to have another great awareness month. I'm working with Sherry to hopefully get those lawn signs for people that want them on the run. And for the awareness month, we have a list of proclamations that are already confirmed, and we'll be sending them out all through October, and I'll put them on the website soon, which ones are confirmed. If you would like a letter to ask your local town or city or municipality, I'll be happy to give you a template, or I'll put something online very shortly that you can download yourself and send to them. I just ask that you look at the list of who is approved, so we're not doubling up and asking twice or triple to the same municipalities or cities or towns. Last year, we had a great success with our national representation for the Light Canada Purple. We have several approved locations, and I did update the website with our 2023 locations so far. We have 11 locations so far. I shouldn't say 11, we have more than 11, but 11 cities so far participating. And some cities have more than one location that will light up. So we're looking good for Ontario so far, and I will be connecting with the other provinces shortly to see how they are doing. Sorry, I just need to reconnect to my, okay. If you know of any places that do light up and would like to see it light up, please let us know, and I'll do my best to try to see if they can light up for us, or feel free to ask them yourself and let us know so we can add it to our list. And we had a lot of positive feedback from our school activity awareness kit that was new this past year. I also want to thank Mr. Beignet that helped me update the French version. I had, I guess, some grammar mistakes on the version that I first posted, so he helped me fix that, and I have to reconnect with him with a few other French translations. Caregivers contacted us, and families were happy with that and shared their photos with us, and we hope that you guys would do the same. And if you guys have any suggestions of activities or things that we can do for Awareness Month, please share it with us, and I would be happy to update it on the website and let others know as well. That's all from communications. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. And thanks everyone for your updates. Okay, next on the agenda will be the election of directors. So as listed there, the slate of directors for 2023 to 2024 would be Sabrina Milson, Carrie Ann Richard, Sherry Lawrence, Joan Lee, Melanie Birch, Jody Dwyer, Cindy Bellard-Steeles, Amy Witter, which we're gonna motion tonight as a new board member, Steve Miguel, and Dr. Anagnostou. So that, could I have someone to first motion, please?
Sherry Lawrence.
Sherry, I heard your name.
Yep.
Someone to second?
Joan.
Joan?
Yeah.
Any questions? And all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Okay. The next part is the election of executives. The slate of executives for 2023 to 2024 is Sabrina Milson, President, Carrie Ann Richard as President-elect, Sherry Lawrence as Secretary, and Joan Lee as Treasurer. May I have someone to first motion?
Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie. Second?
Jody.
Thank you, Jody. Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'd like to just take a moment to thank our past board member, Nikki Pavot. She was on the board for 2 years, and during that time, she did a lot of stuff for us. And we would just like to take this moment to thank her and everything and all her contributions. I think before Valerie, should we take questions or adjourn the meeting?
I think you could adjourn the meeting and then it'd be more open, that it's more relaxed for the questions. Okay.
Sure. So why don't we do that? We're going to adjourn the AGM meeting. Could I have someone to first motion?
Carrie.
I heard Carrie. Thank you.
That's good. You just need
That's
one
good.
person to say it's over.
You're welcome.
I can always count on you, Carrie. Perfect. Okay, so now that the annual general meeting is over, we can take questions right now.
Yes, it's me again, David. I was wondering if we had more details in regards to what happened with CHEO, and if we will be going forward with renewing something for us in Eastern Ontario.
Very good questions. Unfortunately, we have not received any more information than what we first gave the community back in January. So we are being very transparent with what we have, and everything that we have been told is on our website, and we also have informed our community. So unfortunately, nothing else in that regard. And as of right now, there is no other clinic that will be opening up in that area. It's not to say that there won't be, it's just that we're still working out and talking to other physicians that may be interested in doing that. And as you may know, it's a process. And so we're just trying our best to try to have open those conversations and to see how we can best facilitate that area, that catchment right now that doesn't have a clinic.
Is there anything that we can do? I don't know how many people live in Eastern Ontario that we can do to help get a new physician? Is there emails we can send, or is there people we can talk to?
I'm not too sure. I think what we understand is that there was restructuring that actually happened at CHEO, and in that restructuring, the clinic dissolved. However, that's not to say that you're not able to see the provider. So you could, patients are still able to actually see Dr. Carter through her genetic clinic, and also Dr. Sell through his neurology clinic. So even though there's not a RET specific clinic, you're still being seen by a RET specialist under Dr. Carter's genetic clinic. I'm not too sure if, we did reach out to the president of the hospital, and he assured O.R.S.A that patient care would not be jeopardized and that you would continue to receive the best quality of care, even though there's no specific clinic. However, so I'm not too sure if how that would look if they've dissolved the clinic, if they're going to put one back at that hospital. So I think what we need to do now is to figure out if there's another place for a clinic to be set up as opposed to CHEO, the actual hospital.
Okay, and I have another question. I'm not sure how to frame it because I don't have all this is we've only been in this for 2 years, but will the lack of Red Clinic in Eastern Ontario affect participation in clinical trials or anything that will help our daughters? Like, will not having a Red Clinic in Eastern Ontario affect that ability for us to participate? Or is that something that O.R.S.A chooses the participants, or is that something that the companies choose? How does it all work?
Yeah, good question. And also, so just to start off, O.R.S.A does not pick who participates in the clinical trial.
Okay.
We are third party and we help facilitate and we advocate on your behalf.
Okay.
So if, for instance, there's not a Rett clinic in Ottawa and you are known to O.R.S.A as a lifetime member, or you have put your information in the Canadian Rett Syndrome Registry, we're able to pull that information and email you directly to say there are clinical trials available for you if you would meet the eligibility criteria. And if other clinics or hospitals like Sick Kids or London or Holland Bloorview, I'm just trying to think of McMaster Children's Hospital, if they were to do the clinical trial, then they would open it up and it's up to you if you would like to travel there. So for instance, there are patients in Ottawa right now that have traveled to London to be on the NFX trial. So you're not limited to not being able to participate in a clinical trial just because there's no Rett syndrome clinic in Ottawa.
Okay. Thanks for answering my questions.
No problem.
I have a question in the chat. It says, are there any further details about the Ottawa conference? Is there a venue selected? Carrie-Anne?
I was going to come on and ask if I can say something about that for that specific reason that David just discussed that. So we're working on it. I can say a little bit because I am the chair of that committee. So we have signed a location. We will have more information to come. We do have a committee meeting on next Monday. There's a few things we need to iron out about it. It will be downtown Ottawa for sure. And I think that this is going to be a great opportunity because there will be a doctor panel. So we specifically chose this location for a reason. The people that are going to be there will be able to deal from 0 to adulthood and answer questions on all different levels throughout your loved one's stage. So I think it's going to be really important for people that have questions from, like in our case, our daughter is 11 and a half and puberty's coming and all kinds of things. There's going to be physicians there to answer the questions and get us ready and prepared, as well as newly diagnosed, as well into adult. So if this interests people at all, it's going to be a great opportunity with a great open panel that will be able to ask different questions on different aspects. So more information that it will come. It's just, it kind of went a little bigger, quicker than what I had in mind. So we're just working on it and there will be more information by the run time to be able to be released for that. Committee's all working together to kind of make it, as we said, a parent and caregiver weekend so parents can get back together, get discussing, have conversations, learn about each other, and have an open forum. It's going to be relaxed. It's not going to be overly scheduled. And I think lots of people are going to have great opportunities to connect, which is something that we really, really need. So that's what we're focusing on. So I hope that answers your question. If there's any more, you can email me. It's krichard@ret.ca. Other people have me on all different platforms. You can send questions, but again, once we have more things going on, David's asking another question. I'm working on it. So we sent out the survey so we can go ahead and schedule things on different levels, and we're focusing on different things. So it will be to come. It will be interesting, and I am looking forward to seeing everyone.
So, Carrie, I'm wondering if David means, can he bring their own therapists to attend?
Oh, sorry. Thank you,
David
Karen.
can clarify.
Oh, yes, exactly. Of course. I have family members that are coming. I have friends that are coming because they want to learn more about Zoe and how to better help and be a greater part of her life and different loved ones with Rett syndrome. So yes, it will be open to anyone that you want to bring to build your team. This is your opportunity. That's going to be great. I invited Karen, who just spoke, because I want to build my team. So it's going to be great for that as well. Any other questions? No? Okay, so that question is not for me, so I will leave that for Sabrina. Thank you.
One quick thing, Carrie Ann, are you comfortable mentioning sort of what we think our timeline is for the conference, just so people can have an idea in their head about when we mention the dates?
Yeah, so it is the 21st and 22nd of October, and it will be a Saturday and Sunday morning. So we've established that and we're sticking to that schedule. And like I said, it's not going to be super crazy jam-packed, but it's going to be fun, and we're going to have lots of opportunities for people to be able to mingle and get to know one another as well, which is great because there's going to be all different age groups and stuff like that. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Carrie Ann. I see a question there for me. Does Tasha have plans to continue their gene therapy trial in Canada for pediatric Rett patients? I'm not aware of that as of yet. I know that they have asked for other site contact information of other Rett clinics and physicians that O.R.S.A has supplied to them. So they may be talking to them, but as far as I know, I'm not too sure. I'd just like to mention too about Tasha. They've been very transparent with everything and have been willing to share the information as soon as it becomes available to public, to all the advocacy groups. So we're doing our best to facilitate that information to our community in real time. And I know we're all on social media and we all are following all the other organizations. So that information, once it comes out, we're all putting it out there and we're keeping everything very transparent for our community. So we don't have any other information, unfortunately, at this time.
Sabrina, I just have a question. One of the other guests and I were both a bit confused because I had read in regards to Acadia that the submission to Health Canada would be within the next 18 months, not that the drug would be within Canada in 18 months. And when Pam was doing her presentation, I sort of understood it when she was saying she thought that the community thought that it would be like the drug in our hands within 18 months. Do you know?
Is Pam still on the call?
Yes.
I am. Yep, just had to unmute.
Hi, Pam.
Pam.
Do you think you can help me with that question?
So it's a good. I should probably pull up the press release to see exactly what it says. But I think that what we are working towards is 18 months to then be able to have debut in Canada. So that would again, there's a lot that has to happen. You saw that slide, and the first steps have to be with Health Canada, and then we have all the things we have to do with the payers, and then of course there's lots we have to do to get distribution and supply and importers and distributors and all that kind of good stuff to be able to get the product actually into Canada.
Thank you, Pam. Will you announce, are you able to announce when you've submitted it to Health Canada or no?
So similar to what Sabrina was saying, my commitment is to be as transparent as we can be. I would have to understand just sort of what the rules are from the market perspective. If this is, I mean, typically the rule with investors is if anything is deemed material, then it needs to be communicated publicly. And in which case, I'll make sure that simultaneously you guys are also getting the communication.
Thank you.
All right, I'll go back on mute.
Are there any other questions about anything?
Well, if we can give people a second to write in the chat, we might as well go to the draw and see who won the awesome travel pack. Jody, are you ready to share screen?
I'm ready to share if somebody else knows how to do it.
Yeah, hang on.
Good luck, everyone.
Okay, so at the bottom there says share screen.
Share screen. Yes, it does.
And then it should give you the option to choose which screen to share.
My colorful wheel, can you see it?
Ooh, so pretty.
All right. So I've entered all the names based on who's put their name in the chat box. So if you haven't, you have like 10 seconds to do so.
And just like to say again, thank you to Acadia for helping sponsor the travel pack. And what's included in the travel pack, I can just say it if we're waiting for names. I see Joe added in a name there.
Yep.
Do you have it, Jody? So we have an OGO duffel bag. We have a Yeti tumbler, part of the package. We have a power pack, booster pack. There's a neck rest support brace for our kids to put in the back of the seat. So if you're traveling, their heads aren't flopping everywhere. Used it with Ella, it's perfect. Just trying to think what else was in there. Oh, and a travel blanket as well. I see some names still coming through, so do you want to wait? Do you have all those names, Jody?
Yes. Yep, I'm up to date on the names.
I think people are excited. Okay.
All right. Here we go. Let's hope this works. Well, that makes you a little dizzy, doesn't it?
That's a slow spin.
Julie Higgins, we have a winner. Did you get that, Sabrina and Val?
Got it. Congratulations,
We know
Julie.
where Julie lives too. Congratulations, Julie.
All right, I'm going to stop share now. There we go.
Thanks for doing that, Jody.
No worries.
Okay, any other questions that come through? Okay, then I guess I would just like to end by saying thank you to everyone for joining us. This was a great meeting. We're really excited to see the next steps on our journey here with everything that's going on with Acadia, with our conference, with the run. Hopefully you guys will join us in all those activities that we are doing. If you're looking to volunteer and maybe make a difference, O.R.S.A will be happy to have you. Just connect with me and we can see where you would fit on our board of directors. And If I'm missing anyone, I'm really, really sorry. It's the end of the night and I'm at a loss right now, but I just would like to say thank you so much for attending, and thank you to the winners, the winner, Julie, and for our board of directors, because without you, none of this would be possible. So thank you.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Look forward to seeing everybody at the run.
Okay, good night, everybody.